Imagine hearing a sound in the sky, a sound that meant two completely different things at the same time. Hope for some, absolute despair for others. An elegant aircraft, fast, lethal, one that didn't just fly. It reacted. It responded. It dominated the air. In 1940, as bombs fell over London and British cities burned under the Blitz, one question hung over Europe. Would Great Britain fall? And if the answer had been yes, the course of history would have been entirely different. But it did not fall, and one of the reasons had wings. Today, you are going to understand how an aircraft designed before the war even became a symbol of national resistance, engineering excellence, and strategic survival. This is the story of the Supermarine Spitfire, and it is far more decisive than it first appears. In 1936, while Europe still clung to fragile diplomatic illusions, an engineer named Reginald Mitchell was working on something revolutionary. Mitchell was already known for his work on the Supermarine S6, a high-speed racing seaplane that had won the Schneider Trophy in the 1920s. He understood aerodynamics at an almost instinctive level. He knew that speed was not just raw horsepower. It was structural efficiency, clean airflow, balance. The Royal Air Force needed a modern fighter capable of confronting future threats. The result was a design with refined elliptical wings, a thin aerodynamic profile, and a lightweight structure. On March 5, 1936, the prototype took off from Eastleigh Aerodrome. Test pilot Joseph Mutt Summers landed and simply said, "Don't change anything." In experimental aviation, that is close to a blessing. By August 1938, the Spitfire entered service as the MKI. Its name, meaning to spit fire, referred to someone with a fiery temperament. Fittingly, the machine lived up to it, powered by the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine and capable of reaching around 560 kilometers per hour in its early versions. It represented a significant technological leap for the RAF. Yet, when it was conceived, no one could have predicted the trial it would face only 2 years later. In 1940, after the fall of France, Nazi Germany dominated much of Western Europe. To invade Britain, Hitler first needed control of the skies. The Battle of Britain began. The Spitfire's primary adversary was a Messerschmitt Bf 109, the Luftwaffe's standard fighter. Fast, heavily armed, and technologically advanced, it was a formidable opponent. British strategy was precise. Hawker Hurricanes would focus on German bombers, while Spitfires would engage the Bf 109s in direct combat. Although RAF losses were significant, the critical factor was different. The heavy losses inflicted on German bombers made invasion impossible. Without air superiority, Operation Sea Lion was abandoned. Britain survived, and the Spitfire became a national symbol. But war does not stand still. In 1941, Germany introduced the Focke-Wulf Fw 190, a fighter that outperformed the Spitfire Mkv in acceleration, firepower, and overall performance, except in tight turning ability. This was a serious challenge for the RAF. The technological edge that had ensured survival was now threatened. In June 1942, a lost Fw 190 accidentally landed in Britain due to bad weather. It was a rare strategic gift. Comparative testing confirmed what was already feared. Evolution was urgent. The answer came in the form of the Spitfire Mk9, equipped with a Merlin 61 engine. It delivered significant improvements in climb rate and top speed, finally allowing the Spitfire to compete on equal terms with the Fw 190A5. The story of the Spitfire is, above all, a story of continuous adaptation. From the MKI with roughly 990 horsepower to the Mk47 with a Griffin engine producing 2,200 horsepower and exceeding 720 kilometers per hour, the aircraft evolved through more than 40 variants. The Mkv became the most produced version, offered in multiple wing and armament configurations. Some variants carried 8 Browning machine guns. Others combined 20mm Hispano cannons with machine guns. Wing tips could be extended for high-altitude interception or clipped to enhance performance at lower altitudes. In North Africa, sand filters were installed to cope with desert conditions. Each theater of war demanded specific adjustments. By 1944, the Spitfire 14, powered by the Griffin engine, became one of the fastest fighters in the world, reaching approximately 715 kilometers per hour at 7,500 meters. However, The increased power altered the aircraft's weight and silhouette. Even so, its remarkable balance remained. Its turning capability continued to be a decisive advantage in aerial combat. The Spitfire was not limited to air superiority roles. It operated as a fighter-bomber supporting the British Second Army's advance toward the Rhine. It escorted Lancaster and Halifax bombers during the final major air raids of the war against Heligoland and Wangerooge. It participated in Operation Market Garden, protecting transport aircraft during resupply missions. It intercepted V-1 flying bombs. On October 5, 1944, a Spitfire shot down one of the first operational Me-262 jet fighters, proving that even in the emerging jet age, it remained relevant. There were even unusual logistical missions in which bomb racks were modified to carry beer barrels instead of explosives, boosting troop morale. The final air combat of the Second World War involved naval variants known as Seafires operating from aircraft carriers. In August 1945, while escorting Avenger torpedo bombers, they shot down Japanese Zero fighters. The Spitfire was present from the beginning to the very end of the conflict. A total of 20,351 units were produced between 1938 and 1948. After the war, it continued to serve in several air forces, including those of France, Canada, Belgium, South Africa, and Portugal. In Portugal, over 100 units remain operational until the mid-1950s. Interestingly, after the war, Spitfires and Bf-109s faced each other again, and sometimes even flew side by side during the Arab-Israeli War. History took unexpected turns. Today, fewer than 50 airworthy or preserved examples remain worldwide, displayed in museums or held in private collections. Each one represents a chapter of an era when control of the air meant national survival. What made the Spitfire truly special was not just top speed or engine output. It was a balance between refined aerodynamics, superior turning capability, ongoing technological upgrades, and strategic adaptability. It was not born perfect. It was continuously refined. As the war changed, so did the aircraft. That capacity for evolution kept it relevant throughout 6 years of intense global conflict. In 1940, Winston Churchill famously declared that never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few, referring to RAF pilots. But those pilots held in their hand a machine that translated human skill into mechanical precision. The Spitfire did not win the war alone. No single machine ever could. But it helped ensure the war did not end too soon, helped preserve a nation at its most vulnerable moment. And sometimes, preventing something from ending too soon is exactly what changes history. The sound of the Merlin engine cutting through British skies became more than mechanical noise. It became a symbol of resistance, of engineering under extreme pressure, of how technical decisions and industrial capacity can alter the course of global events. The Spitfire was metal, fuel, and ammunition,